Look, honey, I'm sorry you're in the hospital, but I can't make it. I'm sitting here appreciating Tom Brady throwing 30 checkdowns against the shitty Falcons defense. Oh, you want a divorce, huh? Well, good. More time for me to appreciate Brady then, bitch. It's week 13 NFL review time, you bastards. Dallas versus New Orleans. Have no fear. Taysom Hill is here to save the day and help New Orleans get off of their losing streak. Oh shit, he threw 4 interceptions. New Orleans lost again, 27-17. Well, at least it didn't start that poorly. Dallas jumped out to a 7-0 lead off of a 1-yard touchdown pass from Dak to Michael Gallup. Hill responded with a 24-yard touchdown pass to little Jordan Humphrey to make it 7-7. Dallas added 2 more field goals to make it a 13-7 game at halftime. New Orleans cut the lead to 13-10 before Dallas broke the game open late in the third with a 58-yard touchdown run by Tony Pollard. That's why Dallas pays Zeke Elliott the big bucks, folks, to watch his teammates run for long touchdowns. Then, in the fourth quarter, our good buddy Mormon Tebow officially crapped himself, throwing 3 interceptions, including one that was returned for a touchdown to seal the game and make it 27-10 with 3 minutes left. Hill would pad his stats with an awesome 70-yard catch-and-run touchdown by Deontay Harris to bring us to the final score. But New Orleans' season is over now. As for Dallas, they won, but it was a pretty unimpressive win, and Dak was mediocre. Gonna be great watching them shit their pants in the playoffs again. Arizona versus Chicago. Finally, we got Kyler Murray back onto the field versus Chicago. It wasn't much of a game, no offense to the tiny clown puppet on the tricycle from the Saw movies. Murray accounted for 4 touchdowns, while Arizona jumped out to a 24-7 lead early in the third quarter and coasted to an easy 33-22 road win. Justin Fields is still hurt, so Andy Dalton started for the Bears and did a great Taysom Hill impersonation by throwing 4 interceptions. It is illegal for the Chicago Bears to have good quarterback play for a prolonged period of time. How many times do I have to say this? The temperature at kickoff for this game was 34 degrees. The players must have been so cold. I really hope they were all given nice glasses of warm milk and cookies in the locker room at halftime. Kyler's MVP case continues, and on an efficiency basis and team record basis, he looks primed to win the award. But he has missed 3 games. So who knows? They'll probably just give it to Brady anyway. Eat Arby's. Indianapolis versus Houston. Listen, if you think I'm actually going to waste my time going over a game between the Colts and the shitty-ass Texans just so I can bump up my ad revenue on this video, you're goddamn fucking right. You'll be shocked to know the Texans failed to score any points in this game. This is now the 6th time in 12 games this year in which they failed to reach at least 10 points. Disgusting. As for Indy, they did their usual ground and pound game behind Jonathan Taylor, who ran for 143 yards and 2 touchdowns. Carson Wentz once again played the role of game manager, which he is probably best suited for, only throwing 22 times all game. Didn't matter. None of this matters really, as Indianapolis cruised to an easy 31-0 win to improve to 7-6. How ironic is it that a team that plays in a dome is best suited to play the ground and pound game? I still don't fully trust them because at some point they'll need Wentz to make big throws, and I have my doubts about that. Philadelphia versus the Jets. Minshew Mania is now in Philadelphia, motherfuckers. 20 for 25 for 242 yards and 2 touchdowns for a 133.7 rating. That's what I'm fucking talking about. The helicopter stood no chance against Minshew. In all seriousness though, Minshew looked amazing against a bad team to help my Eagles improve to 6-7 and stay in the playoff hunt. I've said it before, but Minshew is better than Trevor Lawrence is right now, and he might be better than Jalen Hurts too. The first half of this game was extremely high scoring out of nowhere, before eventually reverting into a bunch of field goals by Jake Elliott to secure Philly's 33-18 win in the second half. If Philly wants to make the playoffs, they should stick with Minshew over Hurts. Philly is going to the Super Bowl, and all you simple-minded buffoons can't grasp it, but I can, because I is very smart. Detroit versus Minnesota. If I asked you which NFL quarterback would be the first to lose to the 0-10-1 Lions, Kirk Cousins would pop into your head very quickly. Well, guess what? That fantasy became a reality on Sunday, as Cousins' Vikings lost on the last play to the awful Lions 29-27. It also wouldn't be a Kirk Cousins loss without him putting up good stats also. Detroit held a 20-6 lead at halftime and a 13-15 lead going into the fourth quarter. When Minnesota finally woke up, Kirk threw 2 touchdowns, including a go-ahead touchdown to make it 27-23 with 150 left. Not to be outdone, Jared Goff, perhaps inspired by his supermodel girlfriend's gigantic boobs, drove Detroit 75 yards to win the game. On the final drive, Goff converted 2 third downs and a 4th down, the last of which was the final play where his game-winning touchdown pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown, hell of a name by the way, took place. I'm telling you folks, nobody, and I mean nobody, is going to want to face this Lions team in the playoffs. They have all the momentum on their side now. Look out. Tampa Bay versus versus Atlanta. This game was hilarious right from the very start. Tom Brady threw the ball 51 times despite never trailing at any point. His defense gave up just 10 points on 9 drives, and the only reason the game was close at all in the second half was largely due to Brady throwing a terrible pick six just before halftime to make it 20-17. Brady threw for 4 touchdowns, 2 on the goal line to pad his stats, and 2 more to human golden retriever Rob Gronkowski, a 6'6", 260-pound mutant with bigger hands than Kawhi Leonard. Imagine the luxury of having a guy like that to throw to. But Brady does it all by himself, I'm told. At no point did Atlanta ever really feel like they were in the game, even when they had several drives down 3 in the second half. Did I mention that Brady threw a lot of checkdowns in this one? I mean like a lot of checkdowns. Like 30. That's what true greatness is all about, folks. MVP for sure. Oh, and of course Brady was almost never pressured all game behind his elite offensive line. The guy has the easiest job in the NFL. There really aren't any big takeaways here. Tampa Bay is a title favorite. We know this. Atlanta is a joke. We also know this. And I'm actually more impressed Atlanta only lost by 13 instead of 40. Brady is going to win it all again, doing nothing impressive. Arby's. The Chargers versus Cincinnati. One of the most hyped games of the week due to 2 strapping young lads who fancy throwing the pigskin around the yard a bunch in Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow. Early on, it looked like Herbert would coast to a blowout win as LA took a 24-0 lead early in the second. But Burrow, with his manly chest muscles, rallied Cincy to 22 unanswered points to make it a 24-22 game midway through the third. Cincy missed a 2-point conversion to tie, then both teams exchanged punts. It wasn't until early in the fourth when a fumble by legendary respecter of women Joe Mixon was picked up and returned for a touchdown by LA to give them a 31-22 lead. Cincy punted again, then LA expanded their lead to 38-22 following some nice throws by Mr. Herbert. The rest of the game was mostly filler as LA tacked on a field goal with 1 minute left to reach the final score of 41-22. It started as a blowout, looked like it would be an exciting finish, then ended as a blowout anyway. Talk about a tease. Sounds a lot like my sex life in college. Fuck you, Sarah and Hannah, for leading me on. I'm not bitter about it, I swear. Miami versus the Giants. Oh my god, Tua Tagovailoa versus Mike Glennon. Jesus fucking Christ, I'm so pumped about this matchup, my nipples could cut through a diamond. Miami continued the most useless 5-game win streak ever by conquering long neck Glennon by a score of 20-9. Tua threw 2 touchdowns and Miami was in control basically the entire time. Meanwhile, can you believe that Mike Glennon is the best quarterback from the 2013 draft class? I mean, holy fuck, that draft in general was really bad. But specifically at the quarterback position, it doesn't get any worse. Tua Brady Valoa does a tremendous job of throwing checkdowns. We love checkdowns, don't we, folks? The thrill of watching a 5-yard pass leave a quarterback's hand can't be replicated anywhere else by anything. Joe Judge is probably so horny thinking about how he's going to punish his shitty team for falling to 4-8. He better enjoy these next 5 weeks because he's going to be gone after this year. Washington versus Las Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? Well, Washington's win streak didn't. They expanded it to 4 after barely squeaking by Vegas with a 17-15 win. I just can't figure these Raiders out. Derek Carr has his moments where he looks elite and unstoppable, and then he has stretches like this game where the offense is mundane and non-threatening. It wasn't as if Taylor Heineke did anything spectacular either. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 196 yards, meh. But in the end, it was Dan Snyder's team who found victory after Brian Johnson kicked a 48-yard field goal with 37 seconds left to take the lead for good. Vegas is in a similar situation with Derek Carr that Detroit was in with Stafford for a few years. Stafford and Carr are good quarterbacks who are good enough to beat bad teams, but not good enough to win anything important. You can do worse than them, but you'll always be stuck in purgatory. Las Vegas should do what most people in Vegas do. Take a gamble and move on from Carr and rebuild entirely. Just my opinion. The Rams versus Jacksonville. Remember what I just said about Stafford being good against bad teams? Well, this game summed that up to a T. Stafford put up 295 yards and 3 touchdowns for a 117.8 rating in an easy 37-7 win. I swear to God, every single week when I check the Jaguars game, they're down 20 in the third quarter and Trevor Lawrence has just 85 passing yards. Lawrence now has just 6 touchdown passes over his last 11 games and 1 touchdown pass over his last 5 games. He just has not been good, or at the very least hasn't elevated any of the bad supporting cast around him this year. It's been really disappointing. There's not much more for me to say about this. The Rams were a desperate team who needed to win, and they did, and Jacksonville is a terrible team with a terrible coach and a terrible rookie quarterback. I am really rooting for Trevor to become good. The NFL needs as many good quarterbacks as possible, but I have serious doubts that will happen now. Pittsburgh versus Baltimore. You'll have to excuse me for a moment, folks. I'm getting emotional thinking about how this is probably the last time I'll ever have the privilege of watching my female-loving hero Ben Roethlisberger play against the Ravens. Lots of haters have made their jokes over the years about Ben, but he just keeps his head down and refuses to fold. People keep telling him, no, don't come back, but Ben will never take take no for an answer. This was a 10-3 game heading into the fourth with Baltimore taking the lead. Then Ben turned into Super Ben and threw a touchdown to make it a 10-9 game. The teams traded field goals to make it a 13-12 game before Ben heroically ended racism by throwing his second touchdown pass of the day to Deontay Johnson and a 2-point conversion to make it 20-13 Pittsburgh with 1:48 left. Lamar Jackson then led Baltimore on a 60-yard touchdown drive, which ended in a touchdown pass to Sammy Watkins. Baltimore chose to go for two, but from the sidelines, Ben willed Lamar's pass to fall to the ground, so Pittsburgh hung on to win 20-19. Ben Roethlisberger is a national hero. Seattle versus San Francisco. Seattle started off the game with a 73-yard fake punt return touchdown to go up 7-0. Then the gorgeous and extremely fuckable hunk Jimmy Garoppolo said no. He led San Fran on 17 straight points to take a 17-7 lead. Our favorite child respecter, Adrian Peterson, who is now on his 7th team, scored a touchdown to make it 17-14. Jimmy G then found George Kittle on a 48-yard touchdown pass to make it 23-14. San Fran looked in control, but Seattle reeled off 16 straight points to take a 30-23 lead entering the fourth. The two teams exchanged punts, then Seattle drove all the way down to San Fran's 1-yard line when Jimmy G's handsomeness forced a Gerald Everett fumble, which gave San Fran the ball back with 4 minutes left. Jimmy then drove San Fran all the way down to the Seattle 3-yard line, but the super jealous and way less attractive Seattle players stopped him to win the game. Congrats, Seattle, I guess. You're now 4-8 and going nowhere. If you would just let Jimmy win, his path to the playoffs would be a lot easier and we would get to see his gorgeous face more frequently. I'm so upset right now, I'm literally shitting and vomiting all over the place. Kansas City versus Denver. I really thought Patrick Mahomes was legit. I really did. I drank the Kool-Aid. That's the last time I hype up a QB as an all-timer in his first 4 years. I thought he was the chosen one, but he sucks now. Kansas City is 8-4, but only winning games because of their defense. And this 22-9 win over Denver is just the latest example. It makes me very sad. It wouldn't surprise me if sometime in early October, Dwayne Haskins underwent facial reconstruction surgery to look like Mahomes, then kidnapped the real Mahomes, and has been masquerading as him ever since. That's the only explanation I can come up with for this inexplicable drop in performance. It pains me to say this, but at this point, Mahomes is really just Seneca Wallace with a zesty brother. At least we'll always have those 3 years from 2018 to 2020 where it looked like somebody would challenge Brady's spot as the GOAT in the media's eyes. They seem so long ago now. Somebody please cuddle with me as I cry like a little bitch. New England versus Buffalo. One of the most hilarious games in recent memory, as the Patriots only threw the ball 3 times all game long due to tons of wind. But somehow the fuckers still won 14-10. There were no real memorable runs outside of a 64-yard touchdown run by Damian Harris to put New England up 8-0 early. At first the thought was maybe they were waiting until the second quarter with the wind at their back to throw. But no. Bill Belichick is a psychopath and said, we're running it all game long, before going back to his Sith lair. And run all game long they did. 46 times to be specific. Buffalo's only touchdown of the game came off of a muffed punt by N'Keal Harry that set them up at New England's 14-yard line late in the first quarter. But what is going to keep Buffalo and their fans up at night is the multiple golden chances they had to win in the fourth quarter. They missed a 33-yard field goal that would have cut it to 14-13 and turned it over on downs on their next drive after getting inside New England's 13-yard line at one point inside the 2-minute warning, which effectively ended the game. This game was so boring it was actually kind of exciting, and the only regret I have is that New England threw it at all. Imagine how awesome it would have been to win an NFL game in 2021 without attempting a single pass. The world has fallen in love with my puppy time segment, but now it's time for my next big segment, kitty time. Enjoy.